Good morning, everyone. As promised, I'm live. I am going to wait a little bit so that at least a few just log on. I hope that you are well. I don't know how to say how I feel. Normally on this day, I don't leave my house. It's a very, very, very emotional day for me, and I am gonna be strong. I've been praying all morning and all nights because I have not been able to sleep. Yeah, let's wait a little bit for people to log in before I start. Hi guys. It's very, 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 very heavy. Sorry, I'm gonna put my phone on silence. Um, 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 okay, so I just put my phone on silent so that I don't have, because I know I'm going to focus. And I have so many people texting me and checking on me because this is a very heavy day for me. And this is a very heavy season, a 100 days season that, and I'll tell you a little bit why. So hi, I know that some will log in while I'm talking. I hope that you guys are well. As I was saying earlier, I've been praying all night and all morning for this moment, because normally on April 7th, I spend time home because I spend time crying and mourning and pouring out my heart to God, because it's not a very it's not an easy day for me, of not even me, anybody who is a genocide survivor or who lost a loved one or family members in the genocide. This is not a good day. This is a very, very heavy day for us. So this is literally the first time in 26 years that on April 7th I get to put on my strong face and share my story. So this is something that is not usual. This is something that I've never done. So I don't know how I'm going to be. So in advance, I just want to apologize if I cry, or if I if I have triggers. I'm so sorry in advance, but I know that God will give me the strength to share my story and to be able to not only to glorify Him, but to also remember those who lost their lives so early and so unexpectedly, and in a very, very critical way. So before I start, I think we have enough people for me to start. Anybody else who's gonna join, you're welcome to send a message to somebody who is interested of listening to a testimony of a genocide survivor, you're welcome to share this, because my testimony is no longer mine. My testimony belongs to Christ. So I pray that it will bless someone. So Heavenly Father, thank you. Thank you for your presence. Thank you, Father, because this is the day that you have made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. But you also said in Romans 15 that you mourn with those who mourn, and we rejoice with those who rejoice. Father, this is a day of remembering those who lost their lives in the genocide of 1994. I pray, Father, that as I share my story, as I share my history, as I share what I've been through, Lord, I pray that it will not be to traumatize people, to bring anger or to bring rage, but it will be to build, to bring hope, to bring strength. I pray, Lord, that you give me the strength that I need, because I can't do this without you. But I know that you are with me. I know that you are for me. And I pray, Lord, that you have your way. In Jesus' name, amen. I'm already crying. So as I said, this is the first time in 26 years that on April 7, I talk about my story to anyone else other than my family. So it's not easy, but God asked me to do it, and I know he will give me the strength, and I know that I believe that it's time. I believe that it will bless someone. So before I start talking about my story, I want to tell you why I'm doing this. The Bible says, again, everything I have to use a scripture, because as I told you, for those who have watched my previous video, my previous live video, I said that my life is his, my testimony is his. I wrote a book about my story, but honestly, it's his story, it's God's story, and I use my story to be able to encourage, to be able to bring hope and tell people that they can overcome any pain that they're going through. So as I'm sharing my story, I hope that you gain hope as you listen. You gain hope as you hear my story, and I pray that it will strengthen your faith, especially in this season of uncertainty. It will strengthen your faith, and that you will know that if God is for you, nobody can be against you. So why am I sharing my testimony? Revelation 12:11 says, they triumph over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. I believe that we triumph over the enemy by the blood of Jesus, but also by the word of our testimony. Most of the time, we are so afraid to share our testimony because we think it's too much, it's too scary, it's too dirty, it's too painful, and nobody will understand. And trust me, I felt for a long time I could not share my testimony because I felt like my testimony was too much for people. I felt like everybody who would listen to it would feel like, oh, poor Aline, oh, and see me as a victim. And I've never seen myself as a victim, never, because I was blessed to be raised, and I'll tell you more about why I am who I am today. I was raised for a few years before she passed away by my grandmother, my mother's mother. And with her, there's no way that I could act like a victim. Like she really taught me that I'm not a victim, that I should never see myself as a victim, but as a survivor that is going to thrive. So I never see myself as a victim. Although, yes, I am a genocide survivor, so people can put me as a victim because I fit in all the boxes. You know, I'm an orphan. I lost my dad in the genocide, lost my mom at 13 months, lost 98% of my family on my father's side in the genocide. Like, if you see my life, you will be like, oh wow, oh, I'm so sorry, Aline. But I've never seen myself as that. Why? Because I found a father, a heavenly father, that healed me, that gave me an identity. And I've never considered myself as an orphan because I have a father who loves me, who cares about me, who is with me at all times. And that's why I never see myself as a victim. So yeah, so I share my testimony to overcome the enemy, to overcome the plot of the enemy. And I want to encourage you, share your story. Your story is powerful. Your story can change lives. Your story can transform lives. And I would love to encourage you to share your testimony. So I want to share my testimony with you. And again, I'm sorry if I'm going to cry or if there's any trigger, because in 26 years, this is the first time on April 7 that I literally talk about it without to anybody else. Now I'm talking to the entire world. So bear with me and pray for me and intercede for me if you can. So I am Aline. For those who don't know me, I'm Aline. I am originally from Rwanda, and my story is a little bit twisted and very interesting. I was my parents, my dad, his name was Jean-Baptiste Kuraweke, and my mom's name was Uwineza Claudine. And my mom, my dad, my father was Tutsi. He was let me actually again go back to the background of my country. My country had two main tribes, and if you want to really know the entire history, because I am not here to talk about the history of Rwanda, because then you're gonna have to spend 5 hours of life, which I don't want to bore you about it. But if you want to know more about the ideology of the genocide, how it all started, what started it and all that, I would like to encourage you to read. You can get my book. I literally I shared a little bit of the history in my book, but I actually encourage you to read a book called The Holocaust and Other Genocide by Harpen MV. I'll put it in the comments. That's the book that I read when I was writing my book. It was so good because that happened. Is, I think it's I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but he's a historian, so he kind of like went deep. Like, yeah, it was good. I was like, wow, it was, I was fascinated by the book. And it's actually all the genocide in the world. So the Holocaust, the other genocide, because it's not only the Holocaust and the Rwanda genocide, there was other genocides in other countries. So you can actually read it, and then it's really interesting. It's really it gives a lot of story, history about the genocide. So having said that, so if you want the short version, you should you can get my book, and I think it's chapter 3, chapter 4. Chapter 4, that's where I actually put a little chunk of like the history of the genocide. So there was two main tribes. Actually, apparently there are three tribes: the Tutsi, the Hutus, and the Twa. But the Twa, I think they were like kind of like living in the forest, so they were not really like counting them as much. I don't know why. I don't know. But so yeah, so my dad was Tutsi, and my mom was her father was Hutu. So in my country, we take the tribe of the father. So my father was Tutsi and my mother was Hutu. So how did they meet? So in the time that they met, it was, again, if you go to the history of the genocide, before the genocide, it started, like the ideology like started long ago, like in the 1950s and 60s. Like it's a very long time. Like you should read it. I don't want to like go there, but yeah. So in that time, it was very it was not usual for those two tribes to kind of like get together and get married, because the administration, the government the government was a majority of Hutus, and they had actually a 10 commandment, and I have it in my book, and that 10th commandment was not really allowing Tutsis and Hutus to get married and to be together and all that. And my mother's father was involved in politics at the time, so he was very very well known and very influential. Sorry. And my dad was from a very very poor like background. My grandfather on my father's side was he was living in the eastern province of Rwanda. He was just like a modest man, and my dad was the first, I can say the only son, because the other one were killed in the genocide, but the only child who actually was fortunate to go to school and go to college, because he met my mom in at the university when he was studying for his medical study. He was a doctor. So they met in college. My mom was studying agronomy, and my dad was finishing his medical school and starting his residency. So yeah, they met, and they fell in love. And those who actually were studying with them, because I had the chance and the opportunity to meet two of my dad's close friends when I went back to Rwanda after the genocide in 2012, and they told me like some love stories of how my parents were like, and like they were always together. It was like a college, like it was like a love story basically. But in that time, it was not like in this generation. So yeah, so they were together, and my dad was part of a choir in the city where the city was called Butare. For those who, it's the second city of Rwanda. That's where I was born. So then after some time dating, my mom found herself pregnant of me. And when she found herself pregnant of me, she had to tell her parents. And so she asked her father to come visit. And then, so this side of the story, I was told by my grandmother, my mother's mother, who was very, very close to me. And I'll tell you more when I get there. So yeah, so she told me, she called my grandfather, and then she was like, okay, I need to talk to you, I'm pregnant. And at that time, okay, my country is to this day, actually, my country is very conservative, very I don't think they were doing, I don't even think she was thinking of abortion. Apparently she was very like focused, and she was like, you know, I'm gonna raise a child, I'm gonna be fine, because she was convinced that, you know, there was no way they could ever be married because of their two backgrounds that were too off. My dad, yes, my dad was a doctor, but his family was not as influential, as like, or as wealthy, or as strong as my mother's side. So she told my grandfather, and of course, you know, in Africa, if you're a doctor, a lawyer, or an accountant, you've arrived. So when my grandfather found out that, ooh, it's Kuraweje, but you know, Kuraweje is a doctor, so it was in his favor. So they agreed, and my parents got married on July 31st, 1988. And I was born October 20th, 1988. So, of course, I have few pictures of my parents and my mom and dad and me. Apparently, I was the joy of their lives, and they spoiled me like any parents can do. And on November 7th, 1989, my mother was going to another city to have an interview, because she had finished gosh, I'm sorry, like I can feel I can feel a little bit like dizziness. I'm sorry, bear with me. So she was going to the capital city, to Kigali, to apply for a job, because she had just finished her school and she was looking for a job. And that day she got a lift, because at that time my dad didn't have a car, and not many people in Rwanda or in the city where we were apparently had cars. So my mom had a friend, a priest, who had a car, and who was driving the car. I don't know if it was his car or the parish car, I don't know. And she asked for a lift, and she was thinking of taking me, but in the last minute, apparently she decided to be like, oh, I'm gonna leave her behind so that I can come back quicker. So when she left me behind, she said goodbye to my dad, and then she went with the priest, and right outside of the Butare. So you just have to know Rwanda for me to explain exactly where the accident happened, but it wasn't like really far from when you like drive out of the city. I actually went there exactly where the crash happened. So right outside of Butare, when they were going to Kigali. My country is a very hilly, like we have a lot of mountains and hills. Actually, the name of my country is 1,000 hills, so it's very hilly and like mountainous. So we have like, you know, the roads are high and like a little bit dangerous. And in that time, the roads were not as well maintained as it is now. So when they were getting outside of the city, there was a truck that was waiting on top, that was coming on the opposite way, I think, and it crashed them, and they were instantly killed. And as I later found out that that accident was not an accident, it was actually a murder. So they wanted to kill the priest, and then they killed. My mom was literally the wrong place at the wrong time, and she lost her life. And I was 13 months. I don't really remember very well. But I know she loved me because my grandmother told me that she loved me. Of course, it wasn't a very easy thing to do, and so 13 months I lost my mom, and of course my dad losing the love of his life. It wasn't easy. In the book I shared a little bit according to the people that witnessed and that were there at the time, how he reacted. He literally took care of his wife until the end. When they brought the bodies to the mortuary, he went there, he made sure he washed her, he made sure that she looked okay for the funeral. He sang for her at the funeral, and yeah, so that was 1989. So my dad, the more details, there are more details in the book. I'm just trying to kind of like get it all together, so forgive me if I'm not like sharing it all, but if you really want to know the like more details without my tears, without my voice, just read the book, and there's more details that I'm not gonna talk about because it's too painful, it's too hard. So on April 7, now I'm gonna fast forward April 7. So on April 7, the genocide started in Kigali. So the aircraft that had the president, the president, the Hutu president Habyarimana, crashed, and then people started killing. When I say killing, it's not shooting. I wish it was shooting. I really wish it was not. They had machetes and they started cutting people to pieces. But the city where we were, the genocide didn't start. I don't know if it took time, but according to people that were in the same city as we were, they said it started a little bit later, around May, end of April, beginning of May. So I don't know exactly when my dad was killed, like the exact date, but I know it's not April 7. It's like around, somebody told me it's around the second week of May, because the people that killed him were arrested, but you know, they didn't give the date. They just shared how they did it. Anyway, so what I remembered, the most traumatic thing that I remember about the genocide, again, I was 5 years old, and some of you may be like, how can you remember at 5? Let me tell you this: when you see something that is that is beyond word, that is beyond horror. People are like, oh, you know, I love horror movie, whatever. They're talking about horror. I can't even watch horror movie because I have been in a horror life. I was in a horror situation, so I can't even afford to like watch it or think about it, because as I'm talking to you, I can smell, I remember the smell. I remember, like, I am like, I'm literally shivering right now because it's been 26 years, but it's still like it was yesterday. So now, what the day that shifted my entire life, I remember that I was with my dad, and he was holding me. The only thing I remember, I think we were playing, and all of a sudden there was a knock. And when there was a knock, my dad's face completely changed, like completely changed. And as a child, you know, like, you used to like see your dad or your parents, like, you know, happy, you know, but I remember like his face was no longer the same. Like, his face was serious. So he took me and he put me under his bed, and he told me, don't move, don't move, I'm gonna come back and get you. And of course, I'm a child, and I'm a very curious child. A child is curious. I regret for being curious, but that's what it is. A child is a child. I did not understand why my dad was putting me under the bed. All I remember that he went towards the door, and when he opened, I only could see the feet because I couldn't see the body, but I knew that there were more than one people. I later found out that there were 3 men that came to kill my dad and me. And so now, what I'm gonna share with you is from the testimony that I've received during the gachacha. So gachacha is like a court. After the genocide, my country, there were so many people that had killed, like so many people, like there were so many people that killed that there was not even space in prisons for everybody. So they were like, okay, if you are willing to come and ask for forgiveness and share what you've done and who you killed, how many people you've killed, then they can actually release you. So 2 of the 3 men were arrested. I'll tell you more about the 3rd one, but 2 of the 3 men were arrested, and those are the ones that gave the testimony that I'm gonna share with you. So they say that they knocked at the door because they were sent by their big brother, who's now in prison. And their big brother told them to come and kill my dad. And when they got there, they told my dad, they're like, oh, this person told me, I'm not gonna say his name, but this person told us to come and kill you. And my dad was like, oh, it's him, I'm his friend, because my dad was very close to him, and because the person who actually sent to kill was related to my mother, on my mother's side. So my dad was very confident, and he's like, oh no, I know them, like I got married there, so I'm safe, you know. So he decided to write a letter. He's like, you know what, please like take this letter to him. I know him, he's my friend, and if he tells you to come back, then come back. And my dad waited, and he never came back where I was, and he waited. So they went and took the letter to the person, and when they took the letter to the person was like, go back and kill this cockroach. So they used to call us cockroaches. So they came back, and they told my dad again. They knocked at the door. They told my dad, yeah, he told us to come and kill you. So my dad was wearing his glasses. He took off his glasses, according to what they said. This is what they said. They asked him to take off his clothes, and they started cutting him to pieces. And I heard him scream until they pulled him out, the whatever that was remaining of him, until I didn't hear anything else. And there was a silence. I did not know what had just happened, but I knew it changed my life forever. I was afraid to breathe because I felt like my breath will be so loud that they could hear, and they will find me under the bed, and they will do the same thing that they did to my dad. Because of course, you know, when you cut somebody with a machete, blood gushes. There's a lot of things that I can't even describe. And I waited under that bed. I don't know how long, but I don't know that it was so long because I was so hungry. I still believe that he will come back and get me. I knew something bad has happened, but that little girl in me still believed that my dad said he'll come back, and he'll come back. After, I don't know how long, don't know if it was a day, don't know if it was hours, I don't know. But according to the 2 people that were arrested, they said that after they finished him and they threw his body somewhere where they refused to tell us to this day. I don't know where my dad. I don't know where my dad was buried. They refused to tell us where they buried him. So after they buried him and put him wherever they decided to put him, they went back to that person who sent them, and they told him, and he told them, oh, what about the small one? They're like, oh, there was no small one. It's like, oh, go back and look for her. So they came back, and I remember that there was a complete silence at first, and then all of a sudden I started hearing people coming, getting in, and they started looking. And the 2 men said that they didn't look for long because after a moment, the third one, the one that was not arrested, to this day, this man is the Interpol is still looking for him. and I don't know where he is. But this man come back, and he's like, oh, just stop it. We have more cockroach to kill. If she's not dead, she would die. And it was the first time for me to hear the word cockroach. And I didn't understand why. I didn't understand what was happening. But fear, I was afraid. I was terrified. I could not breathe. I had just put my hands on my mouth because I felt like my own breath would bring them to hear it, and they'll come and find me and kill me and do the same that they did to my dad. And after a moment, I heard somebody opening the door. And at that point, I was so tired and so hungry. Because it was now dark. It was night now. And that woman happened to be the sister of the man who ordered my dad to be killed. And to show you how people are different, she came to see if she could protect my dad and I. But when she opened the door and she saw the blood, she knew that it had happened. And she looked down the bed. I asked her, I went to see her in 2012. She's still alive. And I went to see her to thank her for saving my life, because I believe that God used her to save me. And when I told her I thanked her for saving my life, she said, I don't have to thank her because it was God, but I know that God used her. So she looked under the bed and she found me. And at that moment, I don't know, I couldn't cry. I could not. I was thirsty. I was hungry. I was filled with so much emotion. I still didn't even know how to feel about the scream of my dad, what I had just witnessed. And I didn't know where my dad was. I didn't know if my dad was coming to get me. She was a familiar face because she wasn't living far from our house, and I know that I had seen her before. So she was like, you know, when a child like sees a familiar face, like you feel safe because it's a familiar face. So I felt safe when I saw her, and she held me in her arm and she was crying, and she hugged me tightly. She gave me food, and then she took me out of the house, and that was the last time I was home. And I left my father's house. So she took me to another house, and when we got to that house, everything was dark. Like it felt like nobody was there. And when we got in, my aunts, when we got inside, I call her my aunt, but she's not like my mother's sibling or whatever, but you know, in Africa we call it aunt. So my relative So the lady who saved my life, she took me to that house, and when we got inside the house, we actually found out that the house was filled with a lot of people, but everyone was hiding, so there was no lights on. Everything was like as if there's nobody in the house, but there were people in the house. So when we got inside the house, my the lady who saved me, she went to talk to this man, and as she was talking to the man, I was just standing and looking at her. I never, like, I have a very photographic memory, so I remember exactly how the house was structured, how the table was, the chairs, everything. It's like, it's crazy. Like, I still remember like it was yesterday. And there was so many people, maybe 20 people in a small house, and like everybody was like, you know, hiding. And so a little bit, like few minutes later, the lady who saved my life, she came to me and she said, Aline, I'm gonna leave you with him. He's now your father and she's your mother. And this couple had 4 kids, and I did not know them, never met them, didn't know them. Just like that, they had become my father and my mother. And I'm like, I've just held her. I was like, you're not leaving me here. And she's like, I can't come with you. If I come, they were gonna kill me, because she was Hutu. And at that time, during the genocide, if you are a Hutu person and you don't kill, you know, they will kill you. So anyway, so I stayed in that house, but when she left, you know, I went to the window because I just, you know, this is the second time I feel like somebody is leaving me. My dad, remember my dad put me under the bed, say, don't move, I'm gonna come back. Didn't come back. Now this woman that I was familiar to, that, you know, that I knew that was a familiar face, now gives me to another family that I have never met, never seen. And it's like, these are now your family. I'm going. I didn't understand why. At that time, I did not know she was Hutu. I didn't even know, because I did not grow up knowing who I was. I didn't even know that I was Hutu or Tutsi. At 5, you don't ask yourself, you don't know. You don't tell yourself I'm Hutu, I'm Tutsi, or whatever. Like, I did not know who I was. So she leaves, and I go by the window, and I look at her go away. And as she left, of course, it started, like, there were tears going on my I'm sorry, I'm just taking a break because what I'm about to share is also a little bit traumatizing for me, so I'm taking a break before I share. So as I was in the window, of course, the man who had become my father, he told us, like, nobody talk, nobody moves, nobody, like, imagine we are kids, but even kids know, you know that, you know when to play, you know when not to play. Like, everybody was terrified. People that had their children were, like, you know, like, holding them tight. Of course, I'm an orphan, so at that moment, although I was given to this family of 4 children, like, they don't know me. So I was by myself by the window with other people, and all of a sudden, the house next to the house where we were, they started burning the house, and they were chanting and screaming, and they took this woman outside of the house, and she was screaming and begging the people that were pulling her on the grass, and those people raped her in front of my very eye. And after they raped her, they started cutting her to pieces. They started stabbing her, stabbing her, stabbing her, stabbing her. Then they started cutting her with machetes to pieces, as though like, you know, she was dead, but they still cut her, still continue. They just, I don't know, I can't explain. I saw it with my very eye. And after they finished burning the house and raping the woman and cutting her to pieces, they sung. They had a song that they sung. And and they left. Thank God they left, because they had planned to come in the house where we were, because it was the house next door. And when they left, when they left, the owner of the house decided for us to leave, because it was no longer safe for us to stay where we were in that house, because they knew that they were going to find us, you know, because they were coming back for us. So we waited when it was very dark. When it was very dark, then we left the house, and we walked, and I was holding one of the 4 children's hand. He was a boy, and everybody was holding each other, and we were walking, and because it was dark, because the entire streets were filled with bodies, we were walking on people. We started walking, and we entered my countries filled with a lot of forest. We entered into the forest, and we started walking, and when the sun started going up, we decided to hide under bodies, under corpse, under dead bodies, to make sure that they don't see us. And I don't know if it was 2 days or 3 days later, I don't remember that. I've been to 15 therapists, but honestly I have no memory of how many days it lasted, how long it was, because I don't know. But then one day we were walking, and we came out of the forest, and then as soon as we came out of the forest to walk on the road, there was a barricade. So a barricade was like it was like a Hutu border. They will have the killers will have like borders where they stop people who are running and to kill them. Of course, it's not to save them, but to kill them. And we were stopped, so we were going towards it. So you know, there's no turning back. they already saw us, so you know, like you're walking, but you know you're walking towards death, because you know they already saw you. You can't run. So the father that woman had given me to be my father, the man that had become my father, his wife was expecting. She was pregnant, so they had 4 kids plus, you know, a child that was on the way. So he told me, he said, if they ask you, you are my daughter, and these are your siblings. And I didn't even answer, because you know, when you traumatize, you traumatize. So we're walking towards the killers. I call them the killers because in my country we call them Inera Hamwes, but I don't know how to say it to translate it in English. So the killers. So we walked towards the killers, and as soon as we got closer, two of the men came towards us, and he's like, our Hutu here, our Tutsis here. So there were also Hutu people that had run with us because they didn't want to kill. So they were running, because if you don't want to kill, you'll be killed. There's no middle ground. So the Hutu, of course, the line of the Hutu was shorter than the Tutsis, because you know, we were the one running for our lives. So we were lining up, and all of a sudden, one of the killers recognized me as Kurawiji's daughter, and he said, I know her, she's Kurawiji's daughter. And he takes me out of the line, and he takes me and he puts me in their car, and he locks me, and he's like, stay there. Again, my English is gone. My curious mind decided to look, to gaze and see what was happening outside. And that was the mistake that I did, because as soon as I did that, of course they were lining up. So when they got to the woman that had become my mother, because she was the mother of the 4 kids that had become my siblings, sorry, I'm shaking right now. I'm trying to pause because it's a lot. I'm sorry guys, I'm gonna take breaks because this is heavy. So they line people up, like they line them into lines to be executed, and they took the woman that was the woman that had become my mother, and they put her aside, and they told her, they were chanting and like, you know, doing things on her, and they opened her stomach, and they pulled out the baby, and she was not dead yet, she was still moving, and they had, I think they in my memories, I think they had asked her to eat the baby so that she can save her kids or something like that. That's the memory that I have. But what I remember very vividly is her stomach being open and the baby being out, and the blood And they killed, and she died, of course, and they killed everybody on that line. They killed the kids, they killed the father, they killed everybody. And it was silent, just like now. And I was waiting now for my turn, because I knew that I was in their car, so definitely I was next. The same man who put me there, he came and he said, "You can't stay here. I can't take care of you. Just come out and run." And he opened the door and I ran out, and I ran, and I ran. I don't know where I went. The next memory that I have, I found myself in the forest with other people that were running for their lives. And now I was by myself. Everybody, some people were holding their kids, some people were holding, but there was no longer an adult that was taking care of me. I was running on my own. We will hide in the morning and we will walk at night. And the last vivid memory that I remember, we finally walked and we found this Catholic church, this parish church, outside, and we just decided to, like, everybody, the people that were walking, that I was following, because at that time I didn't even know where I was going, so I was just following. But everybody was rejoicing. Like, you could see that, like it felt like there was like a shift. Everybody was happy. People were hugging their loved ones. Of course, I didn't have anybody to hug, so I was just happy and grateful. We saw there were two nuns that were standing on top of the church, like at the entrance, like on top. And it felt that it was like a deja vu, like, you know, when like you go through something and you're like, I feel like I've been through this. The nun are like, Abahutanga, Abatutsi here. I'm like, oh gosh, again. Of course, the Hutu people were not as many as the Tutsis, so they put us in a room. Now, my memory of that room to this day, I remember the smell. I remember how packed we were, how fearful we were, how terrified we were. And I don't know if there will be a day of my life that I will ever forget that moment, because it is, I can't even explain. I can't. Like, there are things that stays with you, that it's imprinted in your soul. It's it's ingrained in your life. Like you cannot forget. So many people say, you know, you can't forget, you can, or get over it. It's been a while. It's been until you go through it. You can't forget. You can't. You just can't. I think I will remember this for the rest of my life. So, they put us in a room, a very small room. And we were very many. I don't know how many, but we were very, very many. Now imagine people piled up like sardines. We could not sit, so everybody was standing and like packed. The smell, it was April in Rwanda is a rainy season. So imagine being rained on outside, running for your life, hiding under corpse, under dead bodies, and the smell of dead bodies on you, plus your own smell, plus the fear, like add that, plus add all of that. That's the smell that was in the room. To this day, people can think what they want. People who think that God does not exist. Let me tell you this. I believe that if you don't believe that God exists, you haven't been through a thing that will leave you knowing that if it's not God, you could not be where you are. So, as we were standing, of course, now the laughter had turned into fear because we knew we were not there to be hidden. We were there to wait for our execution. So nobody was talking. There were some few babies. I don't even remember babies crying. I don't think they were crying. I think even babies had realized that, hey, this is real. So I don't know how long it was, but all I remember, I don't know if it was a man, I don't know if it was a woman. I believe it's an angel. Believe all you want. Some people don't believe it's an angel. Some people believe it was one of the nun. I believe it's an angel. Now, that's my faith. You can believe it's a nun or it's one of the killers again who saved my life. I don't know. This time I know that it was not I believe it was not a person, because first of all, I was not at the entrance of the room. The kids were put in the middle. So the adults were on the side and we were in the middle. As children, we were standing in the middle. So as I was in the middle, there is absolutely no way that if it's not God, how many kids, I was not the only child, how many kids were there and I was the only one spared? So I believe it's God. But you can believe something else. Someone can say it's chance, it's luck. I don't believe in luck. So somebody, I believe in an angel took me out of that room and took me to a bathroom, an African bathroom. and locked the door and left me there. So when I say African bathroom, this is not American, this is not European, when you have like the toilets. No, no, no. In Africa, it's a hole where you can see everything, you know. It smells. It has its own smell on its own. So now imagine my own smell, the dead body smell on me, plus the smell of the bathroom. But I can tell you that bathroom was my safe place. That bathroom was just like that bed was my safe place, just like that house was my safe place when that woman left me with those the family of 4 kids. Just like that car was my safe place, that bathroom had become my safe place. And again, curious child, I don't understand why I'm in that bathroom. It smells, it stinks, but my question is not, oh, it smells, it stinks, because when you're surviving, it's no longer about your convenience. So I went close to the door to like kind of like listen and see what was happening. And then I started hearing some boats, like the whatever military boats or whatever, I don't know, but it was like boats. And I heard, oh, where are the cockroaches? And I could hear their voice because they were loud. I don't know if they were loud or if my ear was good, I don't know, one of the two. And they killed them. They killed everybody in that room. The babies, the mothers, the fathers, the kids, the toddlers, everybody. They killed them. There was screaming until there was no scream. I'm sorry, I'm taking some time because I can hear them scream. So they killed him, and after they killed him, they rejoiced and they ate, and sorry guys, I'm taking my time because it's getting so real. So, God strengthen me, Lord. So, of course, I heard the scream. That's why it triggered me right now. I could hear their voice again in my mind. And again, I was terrified, petrified, traumatized. To this day, I am still traumatized. Um, I I can't say I'm still traumatized. Yeah, it 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 triggers me to this day. Um, there's never a time when I talk about the incident of the church and not have a trigger, because it's something that I don't think I can ever forget. I don't think I can. I don't think so. I don't think so. So of course, now everybody that I ran with, everybody that I I hold on to, end up dead. So I found myself again alone in that bathroom. I don't know how long I lasted in that bathroom, but I know it was a long time, because I slept and woke up, and I remember sleeping again. And then I remember being so hungry, so hungry and thirsty, that I wanted to eat the things, the poops that was in the hole. That's how hungry I was. You can listen to that and be like, oh my goodness, that's so disgusting. Let me tell you, when you're in a survival mode, that's why people can eat each other when they are trying to survive. So when you are surviving, you're no longer looking to your convenience. You are trying to survive. You are trying to live. You are trying to be alive. And I pray that nobody that is listening will ever be in that stage where you have to survive like that. I pray that. Anyway, so while I was thinking and contemplating eating the whatever, the poop or the excretion, I don't know how you call it in English, but the defecation, one of the nun opened the door, and she was very mad and very angry. She said, what am I doing here? She said, go out, get out. And I left the church and I ran. Now, I don't have any memory from the church until I found myself in Uganda, in the refugee camp. I don't have any memories in between. I tried, again, I told you, 15 therapists. I tried to remember. I can't remember. It's like there's blackouts. One of the therapists said that maybe something very extremely traumatic happened, that my brain shut down. And they say that it might come, maybe if there's a trigger or something else that would remind me or whatever. You know how I'm not a therapist, but that's what one of them said. Yeah, so I found myself in the refugee camp. Don't know how I found myself there. I don't know. Don't ask me. I believe it's God. But guess what? In that refugee camp, there were so many refugee camps in Uganda. But I found myself in the same refugee camp as my mother's mother and her daughter. So that on its own, it's God. It is God. There is no other way. How do you explain that in the entire Uganda I found myself in the same refugee camp as them? Like, it doesn't make sense. So found myself with people. Now the refugee camp was really, to me, people are like, oh, it was a mess. To me it was heaven, because we were eating. We had food. I know it was not filet mignon or a steak, but we had food. When I was running for my life, like, we were literally eating like what we were finding on the way. So it was not like in the refugee camp. And they were in the refugee camp. Nobody was trying to run. We were safe. We were surrounded by people in the what do you call it, blue helmet, in the blue helmet, I think, for the United Nations. Yeah, they were saving us. They were in the refugee camp. Of course, there were people that had one hand, one arm, that that were survivors. And here I am at 5. I don't have nobody try to cut me, or nobody try to rape me. So I don't have any outside wound, but my soul is wounded and hurt too. I can't even explain. I couldn't sleep at night. I was afraid of dark. I was not talking. I didn't trust any adults, because I believe that all adult men were killers. Now, of course, my grandmother and I became very, very close. And she's the one who started telling me everything about everything that I know now, of how different I was, the fact that I'm Tutsi. Of course, running for my life, I had realized that I was the one that they were killing. But I got really close to my grandmother. She confided in me. She told me a lot of secret, and also her walk to survival was not easy. Very, very traumatic and painful. And then my uncle was working for the United Nations, and he was looking for us. He was looking for anybody who survived, and he found us in Uganda. He came down and saw us, and he got us some tickets to go meet with his sister that was in another country. So a few days later, we left the refugee camp, and which was hard for me and sad, because I had built, friendship with like some kids, some people, and to me, the refugee camp was like heaven. That's all I remember. Like, for me, the memory of the refugee camp to me is heaven, compared to the trauma that I had before I got to the refugee camp. So I'm like, I would love to go to that refugee camp and check it again, but I it's in the past. But anyway, so yeah, we flew to that country, and of course, when we got there, that relative was living. We were living with her, and we were 14 people in the house. 14 people, and she was the only one working. So when we got there, we arrived in that country November 3rd, 1994. So I don't know how long I was running for my life from May to how long I got to Uganda. I don't know. I know the genocide ended July 4th. I don't know how long I ran for my life. I don't know. Anyway, so we got there, and you know, now we're trying to live a normal life. And then a few weeks later, or a few months, I don't know how long it was, this man comes. He arrives, and they introduced him as our uncle, you know. And at that time still, I don't know that I'm a different, you know, I don't know. Again, I did not know that, you know, my mom was Hutu, my father was Tutsi. I honestly, again, I was a child. I only knew that I was a Tutsi because I was called a cockroach, and because they were trying to kill me. So so I did not know anything. But sorry, I'm trying to find a way to say, because my whole body is numb right now. So yeah, so this man comes, and as you can know, I was in my Hutu family, side of the family. So this Hutu man comes, and he presents himself as my uncle, and he's the only man in the house. Of course, there was another boy, but at that time, a man, but he was like a boy. He was like maybe like 10 years older than me. But this man was like really a man, you know. He was older than anybody else, so we're looking up to him, you know. And my cousin and I became very close to him, and but my grandmother, and that's the time that, you know, I'm really grateful for that, for my grandmother. She passed away when I was 11, but she really would tell me, Aline, you are not like those people. You are Tutsi. Never forget that. You are not like them. And I will be like, you know, always like having that reserve. And I remember one day, I'll never forget that, this person who visited us, and I went to him and I was like, are you Hutu? Are you Tutsi? I was 5. I was still traumatized, you know. And my grandmother pulled me aside and said, you don't ask this question. You don't ask this. Anyway, so you know, it was like this thing. But fun enough, that person that I asked was arrested by Interpol few months later because he was part of the genocide perpetrator. Like, he had killed people. He's in jail right now, you know. So I didn't want to ask if it was Hutu or Tutsi. But talking about that man who came to live with us, so he was very nice, he was very kind, and to me, I looked at him as like, you know, a father figure, because he was the only man in the house. So he was the only authority that I can think of. Then in 1997, no, was it 1997? 1990, my grandmother passed away in 1999, 1998 or 1997, between the two. One day, out of the blue, he wakes up and he's like, I'm going to South Africa tomorrow, and I'm leaving. And I'm like, everybody was shocked. And of course, again, I had abandonment issue. My dad said, I will stay there, I'm gonna come get you. Never came back. The lady who saved me under the bed gave me away. The family that had become a family were killed. The people that I was running with were killed. Like, that man now was like, you know, the one that I could think of that could out. So he's like, no, I'm going to South Africa. Of course I cried. Oh my goodness. When he was leaving that day, we went to the airport. I cried. The following day, after he flew out, we are home, and all of a sudden, cars of police. I don't talk about police like Interpol. Interpol is the international police, so it's like basically the FBI, but like the international police. Like, they basically, like, I don't know if they're bigger than the FBI, but I don't know, I have no idea. But Interpol comes in the house, raids, like so many people with guns, again, traumatized. Hello, like, I'm still traumatized. It's been only 3 years, so I'm still like traumatized with what I've seen and what I've done, although I didn't see people being shot, but I've seen people, you know, going through thing. So then anyway, I see there's Interpol all over the place. And then this police, whatever, this officer, this lady, takes me, put me aside, and they're checking on me. And then with a lady, and then they take the house where we were living was not a very big house. So then they put us in the room with me and my 2 other cousins, and because we were the only kids. So they put us there. I'm like, again, curious mind. I'm like, I don't understand. But I was very close to my grandmother. My grandmother was like my best friend. So, you know, I was very close to her. So all of a sudden, I hear my grandmother scream. Like, scream and scream ravage. When I say scream, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it was like very, like, I don't know, wailing. She was crying, she was screaming. So one of the officers took her and then brought her in the room where we were, and then she lay down in bed, and then I lay down next to her, and I was holding her hands, and I'm like, you know, what's going on? And she couldn't talk. And after a while, they left, and everything went back to normal. They didn't tell us what happened. None of the adults told us what happened. I kept on looking, but again, I didn't trust my relatives at that point, because I had heard a lot of things, and I was it's a very funny thing, and I know that some of my family relative on my mother's side will be hurt if I share that, but I have to, because it's the truth. When the genocide this season will happen, nobody will talk about the genocide. It's like nothing has happened. My father's name was never mentioned on my family side, never mentioned. So I always wondered, and it was only my grandmother who would do like the remembrance on the 7th. We would light up a candle, and she would talk to me about my dad. She would talk to me about my family on my father's side and all that. Like, she was the one talking to me about my roots and my history. So I knew about the genocide from my grandmother, but the people that I was living with, it felt like they didn't want anything to hear about it. And that's the truth. That's just the truth. So after a moment, because again, my grandmother was very close to me, I was very close to her. So one day she told me, she said, Aline, they don't want you to know, but I want you to tell you that that man was one of the 3 people that killed your father. let it sink in once. The man that I loved as a father figure, the man that I looked up as the authority, was one of the 3 men who killed my father. And the police didn't understand if he was planning to kill me because he knew who I was. So was he planning to kill me, or was he nice because he felt bad for killing my father? Nobody knows to this day. To this day, he's gone. He's in the wind. And that's when she told me that 2 of them were arrested, and they did gachacha, and this is the story that they shared. She shared with me the story. She told me that the older brother, the one who ordered them to kill my father, he was arrested. He's in prison. That's his name. She gave me his name. She gave me the name of the other 2. She gave me everything. I was what, 10? And I felt betrayed. I felt betrayed by my family because I lived with the killer for 3 years or 2 years. So this is my story. It made me not trust people. It made me be filled with anger. When my grandmother passed away when I was 11, I have more details in my book. I'm trying to I'm so sorry guys. I have this bad headache because I cried and I feel so dizzy, so I'm trying to wrap it up. And I know I spoke for a while, so I don't want to take all your day, but yeah, it was really, I felt betrayed. I felt unheard. I felt broken. And in 2012, when I went back to Rwanda for the first time to see where I was born, to go see the people that survived, my family, the few people in my father's side that survived. You will, again, if you read the book, you will see how I found out that I had few people that had survived, how I found out that who survived on my father's side, because I was told by the people that I was living with that my family on my father's side, they were all dead. So it's another story. So if you read my book, then you will know all the details that I'm leaving. Anyway, so in 2012, when I went back to Rwanda for the first time after the genocide, it was heavy, but I had to go. I had to go back, especially the fact that not only my father was killed in the genocide, his father was killed in the genocide, his mother, his siblings, his cousins, like almost 98% of my family on my father's side were killed in the genocide. Let it sink a little bit. So that's how many people died. So of course, I tried my best to go everywhere, to go through the only body that was found, and the only body that we could actually bury was my grandfather. So I had to go to his to his grave and just mourn him. And again, to this day, I don't know where my father, his body is. Yesterday I was reading an article that a few days ago they found like a tomb of over 30,000 bodies that were there, that were found. I'm hoping that my father is there, or my relatives, or does it matter now? I know where my father is. He's in heaven. But you know, when you haven't buried somebody, it hurts. When you don't know where they put him, it hurts. So if I know where at least he is, I can make peace with that in my heart. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but it makes sense to me. So in 2012, I went to Rwanda and I decided to go to the jail, to the prison cell, to meet the person who ordered my father to be killed. Now, why did I do that? Because I had encountered Christ. Because I wanted to forgive. Because I wanted to turn the page of hatred and the page of allowing the enemy to control my future, my trust, because I had lost trust in people, lost trust in my own family and my mother's side. But I just wanted to forgive. I just wanted to trust again. And I went there. And the director of the prison, of course, I didn't go alone. I went with two of my uncle, a cousin, the president of oh my gosh, my father's friend. I don't even know. He's involved in something, but I forgot what he does now. But yeah, he's my father's friend. He was my father's friend. So we went there, and as we went, I saw him. I looked at him, and I forgave him. And why am I sharing all this? And I know that, of course, what I shared, it's a little heavy, and that's my story. I don't feel ashamed of it. That's who I am. Unfortunately, I didn't choose it. But it's part of me. And many people, I'm not the only one who had seen atrocity in the genocide. I was 5. There are people that were raped. There are people that have outside scars that are still there. So I thank God for keeping me. I know that he didn't allow me to die because I know that he has a purpose for me. And I believe that my purpose is to tell anybody about him, that he's able to save. He's able to give you a new heart, a new mind. He's able to allow you to forgive your family. Forgive the people that hurt you. Forgive the people that can do the unforgivable thing. Now you can ask yourself, how can I forgive somebody who killed my father? I can give you the answer. Jesus. Jesus did it. He did it. I cannot tell you that I did it by myself. I will be lying to you. He gave me the strength. Just like right now, I can feel his presence right now. I can feel him right now. He healed me. He took me through all this. He took me through all these atrocities. "26 years later, yes, I'm still crying. Yes, it still feels real. People are like, it's been 26 years. There are things that you can, that it will remain in you forever. And that's one of it. But I found my peace in him. I miss my dad. I wish my dad was here. But he's not. But I know he's with me. And The reason why I want to share this story, we are all going through a pandemic right now. Some of you have lost a loved one. You've lost your loved one. You didn't get a chance to say goodbye to them. I hope that you can understand that God is with you. I cannot tell you why this is happening. I cannot tell you why did my father have to die. Why did all these people, over a million people dying in 100 days? I cannot. But all I can say to you is that God can give you a new life. God can give you a new life. God can heal your wound. He is close to the brokenhearted. The same way He's close to me right now. The same way He's close to anybody who's feeling pain right now. Trust that He's close to you. You don't have to worry. You don't have to carry this alone. He's with you. He's with me. I lost my dad 26 years ago. I don't know where he's buried right now, but I know where he is. Have hope. Don't let the season make you so thinking that God has left you, because God never ever leaves His loved one, and He loves you. If you're watching this right now, if you're watching this, you're not watching Aline's testimony. You're watching a child that God spared because of His goodness, to tell you that there is nothing that you can go through that He cannot take you out of. That's why when I go live and I encourage you to trust Him, it's not because I have never been through a situation where I don't understand. I have. This is just a part of my testimony. If you read my book, you will see that I've been through more traumatic things after the genocide, but I still believe. 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 Do you believe Him? If you don't know Him, His name is Jesus. The person who healed me, the person who allowed me to forgive the man who killed my father with his bare hand, and who used his same hand to hug me, to love on me. The God who gave me the strength to go to the prison and forgive the man who ordered my father after he received a letter from my father. That's the God that I'm talking about. He can heal you too. He can heal your burden. He can be the father that you've never had. He can be the mother that you've never had. He can be the brother, the sister, everything that you need is in Him. Don't let this day pass by. Give your life to Him, because it's the only way to peace. He's the only way to healing. I have a sound mind, not because of the 15 therapists. Some therapists said the level of trauma that I went through, there was no way that I could be able to focus 5 minutes, because I couldn't. Because I would look at you and I'm out. I'm not there. God, He allowed me to study. He allowed me to do wonders. He allowed me to write. He allowed me to speak. He allowed me to do all the things that I'm doing today. That's the God that I serve. I'm not serving a God that is dead. I'm not serving a God that is in a book. I'm serving a living God. A God that is alive. That's the one that I want to leave you with. If you log off and you forget anything that I talked this past hour, I pray that the only thing that will stick in your heart is that there is freedom when you follow Christ. There is freedom when you give your life to Jesus. There is freedom when you surrender your story, when you surrender your pain. I surrendered my pain to God. When I gave my life to Jesus at 14, I surrendered my pain. I surrendered the things that I've seen. And He healed me. He redeemed me. He gave me a new identity. He gave me to love, to forgive. He gave me to hope again. That's the Jesus that I'm talking about. Grab Him. I don't know what you've gone through, but grab Him. Hold His hand. He would never leave you nor forsake you. He's never left me. Even when I did not know Him. When I was 5, I did not know Jesus. But He was with me under the bed. He was with me every step of the way. And He's still with me. Hold His hand. Because He would never leave you. Even when you are faithless, He will remain faithful. Trust Him. Trust Him. Trust Him. Trust Him. Because He and He alone can turn your pain into a purpose. He and He alone can turn your circumstances around. Today, I am standing. I am free from bitterness. I'm free from hatred. I'm free from unforgiveness. I'm free from all things that resulted of witnessing those atrocities. Why? Because I laid down my life to the greater cause of Christ. Surrender your life to Him. If you don't know Him, I pray right now that you will encounter Him. You don't even have to do a big prayer. You just have to say, Lord Jesus, I thank you. Thank you for dying on the cross for me. I want to know you. Show yourself to me. And He will. He will show Himself to you. Because it says in Revelation 3:20. Let's read it. It says, here I am. This is Jesus speaking. I stand at the door and I knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person and they with me. He wants to dine with you. He wants to dine with you. He wants to dine with you. Welcome Him in your heart. Open your heart to Him. I shared my testimony and I pray that it will help you to open your heart to Him, and He will come in just like He came in to me. He will heal your heart. He will heal every broken part. And Once you remember the things that you've been through, it will no longer define you, but it will be to glorify Him and His name. I hope that this bless somebody. And I want to pray for you before I finish. Heavenly Father, thank you for your presence. Thank you for giving me the strength to share my testimony. I pray, Father, as you say that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, that somebody today will pick up their cross and follow you. I pray that somebody today will find healing. I pray that somebody today will find hope. I pray that somebody today will live a life of freedom. Freedom from hatred. Freedom from unforgiveness, bitterness. I pray, Father, that we will live a life where you are God, where we trust you and you alone. Lord, have your way. In Jesus' name, amen. I pray for you, and I pray that you pray for me too, because this is not easy. And pray not only for me, pray for my country, pray for every person who lost a loved one. Yeah, thank you for watching, and God bless you.